Okay, we're going to dig a little bit more into the different phyla of invertebrates. And our first one here is Phylum Porifera, and we're also going to cover the Cnidarians as well. So Phylum Porifera, just go over some of the major characteristics. There are a lot of them. We know these actually more commonly as different sponges. They are freshwater. We have freshwater sponges, and they are also marine. I think many of us know what a sponge is, but we're talking about sponges in nature, of course, not the ones that you scrub your kitchen sink with. 7,000 species of sponges. Characteristic here is that mostly they're sessile. It means they don't move. Now, there is some part of their life stage that is somewhat locomotive or moves a bit, but these are sessile animals. These are your most basic types of animals. There are no symmetry, no true tissues, no nervous system, no digestive system, no circulatory system, no excretory system. And basically, you just have water that flows into and out of as far as how it acquires its nutrients. In fact, you had a lot of people up until not that long ago who did not consider sponges as animals. But, you know, the more we delved into the way they acquire their nutrition, the more we know that, yes, this is an actual animal, a member of the kingdom Animalia, even though it lacks many of the things that we think of as far as what we would say like a typical animal, like your pet cat, would have. They're suspension feeders, and what happens, and we'll see this in lecture, is they have different structures. The osculum, the cavity really is you have water that is brought in with particles in it. They're suspension feeders, and that get filtered out and then used by the animal for nutrition. You have hermaphroditic reproduction with these. We have two classes of sponges. We have Calcaria, which are the marine, or I should say strictly marine, and have calcium carbonate spicules. So that's what differentiates them from the Cnidaria, which have silica spicules. So we basically have almost nothing compared to a typical animal, no body symmetry either, but they are considered very basic animals. Now we'll add a few more features here, and we wind up with the phylum Cnidaria. These are what we would call the jellies. There are about 11,000 species of them, mostly of which are marine. There are some freshwater cnidarians. They have true tissues, unlike the sponges, but they don't really have true organs. They have like this jelly-like substance. It's mesoglea, and it's sandwiched between epithelium, a very thin layer of cells, one cell thick, which keeps it enclosed. You don't have a circulatory system. So you don't have organs or a circulatory system, but you do have this very primitive nervous system. It's like a nerve net. There's no brain. There's no central nervous system. There's no respiratory system. And they actually just interface with their aquatic surroundings in order to obtain gases and water. And they can reproduce through sexual or asexual reproduction. Now, you do have two body forms in these. You do have the one that is mobile. Those are called medusae. And you also have the non-moving life stage, which are referred to as polyps. And both of these are radially symmetric. They do have mouths where they bring in food that are surrounded by tentacles that bear cnidocytes or stinging cells. So this is characteristics of cnidarian. They are predators or carnivorous, and they use these stinging cells in order to stun their prey. And they are able to bring that prey into a single orifice. It's also what they use to excrete. So it's the mouth and the anus into their body cavity. Some of you may have unfortunately run into jellyfish where if you swim in the ocean and have gotten stung by them, they can pack pretty much of a wild punch here. you have 4 major classes: the Hydrozoa, the Scyphozoa, the Cupozoa, and the Anthozoa. And representative of these, as far as Hydrozoa, we have Portuguese man-of-wars, hydras, and some corals, mostly marine, freshwater, a few freshwater, both polyp and medusa stages in most species. The Scyphoas are the jellies and the sea nettles, kind of what you see when you go to the Jersey Shore. The Cupozoa, the box jellies, and the sea wasps. As far as I know, we don't have too many of these in our area. These can be small, but pack a punch when it comes to their stinging ability. And then the sea anemones, the corals, and the sea, or most of the sea corals and the sea fans, where you don't have a medusa stage, and mostly these are colonial and they are sessile. And those are pictorial representations of each of these. All right, we are going to move on to more examples of phyla.